but it's really exciting to be back again. This is the second edition of Better Together, and the journey continues. What's special about this passport program is it's something that will continue throughout the year and into the future. So this notion of building healthier communities, it really is all about finding those appropriate paths to wellness. And I'm going to let someone in the room here real quick. There we go.
I'm admitting, don't worry. You take care.
Great. Thank you so much. So what we're going to be doing today is really, this is kind of the next layover that we have in this particular program. And we're getting ready for the next leg as we continue on. And in a moment here, I'll introduce you to the president of WHA, the Wholistic Health Alliance, and then also Rachel Cutsco, who is the Colorado State Chapter leader. And these two individuals will be able to give you kind of the updates before we move into our special guest speakers. We have three today. One, introducing food and the importance of food accessibility. And also then we have a mental health expert. And then we have a whole health expert also. So right now, the main kind of theme for this second edition is reimagining. We're kind of right now in what we hope to be the beginning of the end of this ongoing global pandemic. And at this point, the one thing that we have found time and again is this notion of listening to our bodies. Again, maybe for the first time, but listening to our bodies and the importance of listening versus speaking. I can personally just indicate from my own childhood, having grown up in Japan, where after coming from the United States, where people like to talk, I realized that in Japan, there's quite a bit of emphasis and more emphasis put on the listening aspect. So it's exciting to be able to see how a lot of these different modalities will be really helpful tools as we move into this reimagination phase. I'm going to pass the torch on to the president, Pratibha Shah. She is the founder and president. And what I'd like for her to do for us today is really speak on the why the Wholistic Health Alliance was created. And I will leave it up to you. Thank you, Pratibha.
Thank you, and a very warm welcome to everybody. One second. Sorry about that. I'm just making sure our Youth Brigade comes on good time. Sorry about that. All right. So very warm welcome to everybody. I'm joining you from Boston, Massachusetts. We are meeting together here virtually for a very important idea or notion that we are better together. And I will layer it into the organization itself and how we were founded, what is the main goal, aim for this organization. So Wholistic Health Alliance is a nationally launched 501c3 nonprofit. The goal of founding this organization is threefold. One is to provide a unified platform for all holistic practitioners in the country, which right now, to the best of my knowledge, there is no single platform that is hosting or bringing together people from the different branches or streams of holistic modalities. We have massage directories, we have yoga directories, we have energy healing groups, but there is no one foundation or platform that brings everybody together. So that was the first and overarching goal, is to bring them together, allow them to have a conversation, be able to refer to one another, and also understand what the other modalities do, because we often talk about silos between the holistic fraternity and the modern industry, but we do not recognize and understand and address these silos within the holistic fraternity itself. So that was the primary goal, and we do a lot of activities to showcase our practitioners, not just the directory, but also we feature one practitioner every month. And then we had pre-COVID, we used to have practitioner dinner meetings and other interaction events where there was more organic interaction rather than just passing on visiting cards. So we are trying to develop a culture of more organic connection, which is more whole and which speaks to the organization, the soul of the organization, which is more wholesome in nature rather than just the rut of the corporate culture of just cards and monies and whatnot. So more organic, more whole, keeping in line with our soul. And the second goal is to build healthy communities, as our tagline says. So under that, we hold monthly talks, which again is a win-win for the practitioners and the community, because the practitioners get like a mini highlight, who they are, where they are operating out of, what are they operating, what are they offering, and how does that work. And the community, of course, gets benefited because there are many, many myths in the community about, what is this holistic practice and how does it work? For example, we had acupuncture 101, and we had at the end of it kids walking out giggling with a needle on the forehead. That's my favorite picture of the whole, everything we have held so far, because people think needles will be painful. So, that encourages practitioners to go out and bust some of these myths, which prevent access to their services. And it also educates the community as to, what is out there, what can they do besides just popping some drugs or chemicals in their body. And then third is to build bridges with the mainstream community. And I have been doing a lot of work here in the Massachusetts. I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner, by the way. I have an MD in Ayurveda. And I've been practicing Ayurveda for 30 plus years. And I also have a master's in public health. My most pet project is the Youth Brigade, which is being launched to engage youth in conversations around health. And I'm very, very pleased and delighted and proud to announce that we have a Youth Brigade president, and about a dozen youth from across 4-5 states have already developed an app, wellness app for Wholistic Health Alliance, which has kept them engaged in holistic, wholesome activities. And we are already on Apple. We are working on getting it on Android platform. And then everybody will be getting an email for beta testing. So everybody who is on the list will get it. Once the beta testing is done, it will be launched. And that's coming up. But also, I'm very proud that they have launched a teen mental health initiative just last week. And we have done a press release on that. And we have a young girl signing in for that. I think she's struggling a little bit because she's not able to find the Zoom link. So I'll help her. But that is I think, my most favorite project, because if you can transform the youth, you can ensure in many ways a healthier next generation, which if we don't act upon, we are looking at a sicker world coming up. So I think with that, I'm going to conclude my few words. Just one last thought, that the Better Together journey is very, very timely. We have been talking about living in the present for a long time, but COVID-19 has come as an adversity, but it has also given us a lot of opportunities to finally live that kind of a life. So some people are crumbling under that new norm of living, but some people have really taken it up and started living in the present. Like I tell all my clients, the new way of living is from sunrise to sunset only, no more, nothing beyond that. Live that fully and you will do fine. So I think that is why we are all here together, because number one, we are better together, and we are better together as a whole of the community and ourselves as a whole. And that is what we want for all our community, whether it's at a community level. I think I was hearing Ramona say something as I was packing my clients' herb box, that you don't do clients, I think you do community. But I think That is our target audience, individual clients as well as the community. So with that, I think Rachel, you can go ahead and I'll try and get the young lady on this call here. Thank you, Gregory.
Thank you, Pratibha.
Okay, yeah, and when we get our Youth Brigade speaker on, we'll just insert her in at any time. And I just wanted to speak real quickly on who WHA is for, Wholistic Health Alliance, who that is for. So as of right now, and I know we have at least one person who's in a state joining us that is not particularly from either Colorado or Boston. And right now, that's where we have chapters. So we are continuing to expand our chapters. We're creating the foundation and the groundwork right now. So that way we're creating essentially like the spoke and wheel so that we can implant and expand this to not only other cities within our states, but also other states so that we can continue to spread this nationwide and then worldwide. Our message is very clear. We have so many tools available to us to help us in so many different parts of our wellness journeys. And it doesn't always involve or have to involve the complications of what a modern medicine or emergency room visit even looks like. If we know what's going on in our bodies, if we listen to our bodies. So Wholistic Health Alliance is for everyone. It is for our practitioners. So we encourage, especially since we have our Colorado chapter and our Massachusetts chapter, we encourage practitioners who practice from a holistic or whole health point of view to join us. It's only $45 a year. And now that we have some of our restrictions being lifted, we are able to start congregating again in especially open air spaces. And we're going to be able to have our dinners again, where us practitioners just get to know each other. We get to know who does what so that we can refer people and we can say, oh, you need to go over here because they do a great job in this particular part of the wellness. And then, of course, our community members across the board. So we do have people here from Colorado that are joining us. We have people from Massachusetts. We have at least one person from Michigan that I know of that's joining us. So even though our practitioners may not be right where you are, because of everything that we've dealt with the entire past year, we can provide a lot of services now via Zoom and virtual, which is fantastic. So even here in our clinic, we can do assessments. We can work one-on-one with individuals and a lot of things that as long as we have that video to see what your movements look like, or just to make it more personal, even with our health coaching and things like that, it is an available option now. So Wholistic Health Alliance, or WHA as we like to refer to it, is really for everybody. And I'll take just a quick moment to reintroduce. We do have what Gregory talked to, our Passport to Wellness. We have a couple of practitioners here in Colorado who are on this, and then also in Massachusetts. If you are local to one of those chapters, come pick up. And here in Colorado, you can pick up a paper copy of your Passport to Wellness. We're continuing to add practitioners every time they want to join. We continue reaching out. If you have your Passport to Wellness, you are getting a discount based on different practices. It's about a 10 to 15% discount for services at that place. And you go and get your stamp or your signature. And when we have one of our major nationwide events, there will be drawings and different things like that for those who have been participating in this. So if you feel like you or any one of your clients or community members might benefit from being able to go and visit other wellness practices here in town, and you think that they would like to do it for a discounted cost, then have them come by Fit Instincts. So we're here in the Thatcher building in downtown Pueblo, and we'll have all of that contact information. They can come and get this, or we can email a copy out as well. So I'll turn that back over to Gregory. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.
A young lady is here, so just to let you know.
Wonderful. Well, let's, before we move on to this little break, why don't we have our Youth Brigade speaker?
Hi, I'm Kanak Joshi, and I'm a member of the Wholistic Health Alliance Youth Brigade. I'm an executive officer of the WHA Youth Brigade and the sophomore in high school at Chandler, Arizona College Preparatory in Chandler, Arizona. The Youth Brigade is targeted towards people ages 13 to 19 with the belief that healthy habits should be instilled young. The Youth Brigade allows adolescents to meet and support each other to live a healthier life, as well as participating in nonprofit activities so we can also give back to our community. In the last years, we have begun a plethora of work to help reach these goals. We've held events to teach students younger than ourselves, such as elementary and middle schoolers, the importance of health in their livelihoods. We've also built an app for WHA that is set to launch very soon. In this app, holistic health practitioners will be able to share articles and information with people who may be able to learn from this. And these people can use our directory to connect with and learn more about practitioners. Most recently and prominently, we've started a teen mental health initiative, or TMHI, to spread awareness about teenagers' mental health problems and take action to mitigate the detrimental impacts. TMHI is founded by students for students, where teen mental health is addressed in the same manner as physical health. We want to achieve this through two campaigns with the initiative, the Awareness Campaign and the Action Campaign. The Awareness Campaign sheds light on the state of teens' mental health in the USA and across the world in the hopes of changing attitudes and creating positive reform. I'm actually one of the co-leaders of the Awareness Campaign as well. Within the Awareness Campaign, we have the social media and blog post groups. We want to publish student-authored articles on our blog post that deal with the subject of mental health. And you can also find us on social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn, which are created to spread awareness and accurate information to a wide audience in the hopes of better educating those who may be ignorant on the topic of teenagers' mental health. Secondly, the Action Campaign contains the Community Reform Group, School Reform Group, and Organization Partnership Group. As the name implies, these three groups strive to proactively improve the environment of teens' lives and to mitigate the chances of mental health issues arising for volatile youth of this age. The purpose of our community reform group is to work with other leaders in our community to create an environment that better addresses and aids the needs of those with mental health issues. In our school reform group, we are working with school administrators, educators, and students to make schools across America and the globe safer and more positive spaces. Lastly, our organization partnership group is made to work with organizations in the field of mental health to promote their causes as well as our own. To make a difference and help further our cause, please consider encouraging any youth you may know to volunteer. They will learn skills on leadership, collaboration, and presentation. You can sign up to volunteer with the link that I will put in the Zoom chat right now. You can also find us on Instagram at Teen Mental Health Initiative, and our TMHI website link I will also put in the Zoom chat as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
coming,
you.
Kanak. That was so impressive. I'm just going to quickly show, this is the press release that just came out. And I'm happy to, maybe Kanak, you want to share a link to the press release as well, because it has all the details, right? Okay. And this is the logo designed by our very own Kanak, who's here. And of course the WHA, the top logo is from our very own Gregory. So it's a beautiful teamwork. Thank you, Kanak. I think I will pass the baton back to Gregory.
Thank you very much. And what we're going to be doing now is actually taking a quick break. We're very fortunate that in our community here, we have quite a few people involved in a lot of different modalities and disciplines in our wellness community. And Travis Cleveland is a beautiful performance artist who has prepared for us two pieces. The first one, this will be part of our break, is a gong performance. And there's one image, but I'd like to move on to the next section. I'm really excited because this is something that has been dear to my heart in the last 10 years of living in Pueblo, Colorado, where I did notice immediately that we have this extraordinary kind of rich history, culture, arts, community. And at a time when many communities actually during the Industrial Revolution in the 1880s, 1890s, kind of gave way to agrarian society. Pueblo was really unique in that it maintained its industrial culture, but at the same time was able to retain a lot of the many farms that have historically been passed down through generations. And even though they were in existence in this kind of dual parallel kind of environment, I found that there was somewhat of a disconnect in the community in terms of how they viewed food and food accessibility and where our food comes from. And I noticed that a lot of the great food that was coming from our farms was going up to the Front Range. So I'm really excited to introduce you to Monique Marez, who is a Pueblo native and has decades of experience working in the food system. She has worked on organic agricultural projects in 30 countries around the world. Monique has a master's degree in food systems from New York University and a bachelor's degree in ethics, politics, economics, and international studies from Yale University. Throughout her career, Monique has worked with farmers, ranchers, supply chain servicers, retailers, government officials, media, and eaters of all ages to create a more resilient, equitable, and delicious food system. She is the food system strategist for the city and county of Pueblo and leads the Pueblo Food Project. She has a small urban farm with a flock of chickens. And I've been fortunate to have volunteered on several of the projects that are really wonderful in terms of community outreach and in terms of just greater awareness. And I've also since learned that Monique has a real interest in Japan. We have yet to have an opportunity to share that kind of fondness for the country across the Pacific. So I look forward to that. So with any further ado, I want to introduce you to Monique Marez.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Hello. As mentioned, my name is Monique. And give me just a second here. I'm going to pull up a quick deck because I think images are worth 1,000 words, as they say.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Can people from Massachusetts come and volunteer in your farm sometime?
Of course you can. I actually, a picture coming up is from Massachusetts. I learned how to farm myself, not too far from Boston, Athol, Massachusetts.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah. Okay, give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. All right. So as mentioned, just a little bit about me. I was raised here in Pueblo, Colorado, and I grew up using public assistance programs for food. I have lots of different experiences being raised in a kitchen in a very strong Mexican Catholic culture. There was a lot of foodways that just kind of became commonplace and tradition, and where I did a lot of learning with my elders. But I also realized that there was more to the world than little Pueblo at the time, and so set sail, spread my wings first in my family to go to college, and kind of shot for the stars. Had some rude awakenings. And while I was out there, something that always kind of drew me back and helped me remember who I was food. Food memories are so strong, and the connection that happens around a table or when you yourself are nourishing your body, it can be very deep. And so after many, many cycles of figuring out who I wanted to be and what I wanted to do, and that is still happening to this day, really sort of landed on food as the lens through which I see the world. The image you see before you is a shot of Tokyo. And when we think about food systems, we have to recognize that it's so different, you know, the way people relate to what they put in their bodies and how they get to them. As Gregory mentioned, I've had the, you know, good fortune of doing a lot of work in Japan, but I also had the great privilege and fortune to work this land that you see in this photo here. And really, I've done the whole, there isn't a job in the food system that I have not done. I've been the waitress, I've been the busboy, I've been the barback, I've milked the cow, I've made the cheese, I've talked to dignitaries, I've sat at the table with the Secretary of Agriculture. So, and everything in between, you know, and so I feel very fortunate to have this perspective and really the opportunity to think about systems, specifically food systems, and how they impact the overall health and wellness of a community. Right now, I get to focus specifically on my hometown of Pueblo, Colorado, but the food system, any scale you look at it, you know, it's very interconnected and woven. So I love this idea of the 360 view of this platform and breaking down those silos, because ultimately it's one body, but many parts. So I just really appreciate the opportunity of what you guys are doing here to kind of create those connections. The Pueblo Food Project, is mostly what I'm going to talk about now, is a newer initiative here in Pueblo. It's a year and some change old. Started by Senator Bennett and Walter Robb, former CEO of Whole Foods, came to town and said, wow, you have this amazing resource of your farms being so close to your metro community, but we're not seeing a lot of crossover outside of the Pueblo chili. You know, what's going on? Why aren't you the Berkeley of Colorado? Why aren't you, you know, this sort of Napa of Colorado with all of this rich sun, soil, water you're sitting on top of? And so some community members came together, and initially the conversations were really about food economy, how we bring more business to the Pueblo food scene. But of course, as people dug deeper and deeper and kind of tried to figure out, well, why aren't these connections made? It's because there are lots of layers to the food system. And of course, access and education are one of them. So the Pueblo Food Project is kind of rounded out now to take on 5 prongs. The first is food access, because if you cannot feed yourself, you're not going to be productive in any other aspect of your life. So food access is top of the list, followed by developing our local food system, and that includes developing a robust food economy. After that is food and farm literacy and education. So do folks know where their food is coming from? Do they know how to prepare fruits and vegetables if that's available to them? Do they know how to grow their own food? Are there resources available to support that? So that sort of conversation, and it happens at all ages in the Pueblo Food Project. We'll touch on that later. And advocacy is also extremely important, because many folks don't recognize how important and valuable their voice is. And their opinions really do matter. And one way that we can open that spectrum of engagement is to really build confidence in folks being able to represent their story and share their opinion. So that's another important prong for the project. And lastly, the environment. Of course, Mother Earth is a delicate resource, and treating her with respect is of the utmost importance. How do we develop a food system that feeds the people but also respects Mother Earth, and what does that mean for every piece of the chain? So those are the things that we talk about at the Food Project. I'm going to share a couple of images now, and they're just showcasing some of the projects that we have been working on as far as bringing better quality food, more local food into our community. And I'm sorry, I'm not really, I don't have a clock that's clear to me. So if someone wants to give me like a 3-minute warning, that would be helpful, because I don't want to go over time. I think we should be just fine, but just in case, feel free to stop me.
I'll do that for you, Monique.
So thank you, Gregory. What you see here is, it's a simple picture, but it means a lot for our community. For the first time in the history of Pueblo's Farmers Market, we are able to accept SNAP, which is Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. It's a federal program that helps families close the gap when it comes to purchasing food. And there are specific locations where you can use your SNAP benefit. Well, for the longest time, folks were unable to use their SNAP dollars at our farmers market, which is, hey, this is where the freshest fruits and vegetables are. Let's make sure that this benefit is available. So we crossed the line, we filled out all of the federal paperwork, we were approved. And not only were we approved to accept SNAP at the farmers market, we got a grant to support Double Up Food Bucks, which is a program that will double your SNAP dollars on fresh fruits and vegetables grown locally. So this was a huge win for our community, a huge win for folks using SNAP, a huge win for the farmers, because automatically the customer base grew quite a bit. So we're very excited about that improvement and looking forward to the farm market season this year. COVID-19 created lots of opportunities for new ways to think about how we respond to hunger relief. It's no surprise for anyone by now that the food system is very vulnerable. And when you're relying on food that's traveling thousands of miles before it reaches your plate, you're kind of opening yourself up for all of those kinks in the chain. And so for our efforts here, I was really focused on buying local food to give to folks who needed food now. So not waiting for that delivery, but saying, what do we have available here now in our community that is culturally relevant, that people will enjoy and feels nutritious and delicious? A lot of times when we think about hunger relief work, you're thinking, oh, the cans in the back of my cabinet that I'm not going to eat, I'm going to pass on to somebody else. Well, that's not supporting a healthy, vibrant food system, It's great to not let food go to waste, but just because someone can't necessarily afford their own food doesn't mean they shouldn't have the opportunity to eat healthy, fresh produce just like anybody else. So this slide shows a bag that we put together, all local products in this picture, right down to the soap, handmade tortillas. And we put together 1,000 bags. This went out to families picking up free lunch at school sites. So we developed a great partnership with District 60 and some of our other student networks. Another program that we did for more of a long-term support was to buy shares outright from a CSA. CSA stands for Community Supported Agriculture. So we purchased those shares up front and we donated those shares to families participating in the WIC program. WIC stands for Women with Infants and Children. This is the only organic CSA available here in Pueblo, Colorado. Many of the families participating in the CSA last season had never even heard of a CSA. They had never even known that there was a certified organic farm in Pueblo, and perhaps they thought that just organic produce was completely out of their reach. So this was an opportunity to create greater equity in our food system, to say, no, the best that we have to offer is meant for you too. And so these are just some images of all of the wonderful shares that they received each week. Next, we recognize that there are a lot of folks who need help, and there are a lot of great organizations already helping those folks. So rather than creating a whole new thing to kind of direct service clients, we set up some programs that would allow existing servicers to kind of tap into this bucket of food resources and then deliver them to the clients they already serve. For example, we set up a pantry website on Supporting Pueblo, which is a great platform that sort of helped businesses who didn't already have e-commerce at the start of the pandemic sort of sell their goods in place of an e-commerce platform individually on their own. Well, we created a pantry that had all 100% local products. Folks were able to go in, create a $0 order at an organizational level, and then distribute those products to the clients they serve. For example, clients who go to Posada for housing assistance also received some food. Members of the Veteran of Foreign Wars chapter here in Pueblo would be able to receive these products. All different kinds of collaborations, anything you can think of, but we created a $0 pantry site with local goods, which is very exciting. The other thing that we heard a lot about was that teachers teachers do a lot. Can we all just like take a moment and put our hand on our heart for the teachers out there? Because wow, what a year that they have had. And in addition, you know, they see young people every day who are struggling to make ends meet. And so we developed a meal kit of local grass-fed beef, handmade pasta, Colorado Proud tomatoes, a couple cans of vegetables, and fruit, to say, hey, if you see a student that's going to go home and not have dinner that night or for the weekend, please give them a meal kit. We're going to slip a list in there where they can find free food throughout the city. So a couple of different systems interventions there, and we have these pantries installed in 7 elementary schools around town.
Monique, that is your 3 minutes.
Okay, got it. I'm starting 3 minutes now, or I'm done?
Yes, 3 minutes to go.
Oh, sure. Okay, cool. I can do that. Another systems intervention that we're excited about on the education piece is edible landscapes. So the city of Pueblo, just like any other municipal organization, has lots of green space that they manage. Pueblo Food Project says that, hey, let us take over a couple of these spots, and we're going to take out the decorative plants. We're going to put in edible plants. And these are going to be community edible landscapes. Huge success for that project. Volunteers loved it. We actually had an area that was mostly populated by homeless individuals. Well, rather than seeing needles and alcohol bottles and trash, which had usually been in the area before, our homeless community really gravitated to caring for the garden, becoming the stewards, and then enjoying the produce for the season. So that was a major win. We like to bring lots of educational opportunities to the community. We're partnering with Natural Grocers for a community class once a week. This afternoon, I'll be carving a 40-pound block of cheese in honor of a food art of Pueblo art show that we had at the Arts Guild. And something I'm super excited about is a takeover of science at Roncalli Middle School. So all spring semester, 7th grade students at Roncalli are learning about food and farming. We said, hey, you can learn all the things that you need to learn about science, but we're going to do it through the lens of food and farming so that you can go back and help your family kind of make different decisions, healthier decisions for what's being cooked in the home. No need to talk about that. One last program I'm super excited about. I'll drop the press release for the EPA in the chat, but we won an Environmental Justice Award for some work in our Superfund site here in Pueblo. I'll put that link in the chat. The last thing I want to talk about, because y'all mentioned your work with the youth, we have a youth council that is committed to food systems change. I basically say, you decide what we want to do, and I'm going to help you get there. And one of the programs that they came up with was a Valentine's Day basket full of fresh fruit rather than candy. They got the funding and put together 500 baskets that went out to our community over the Valentine's Day holiday. They've also spoken on city council about their projects and are working on a mural for our historic levee. Yeah, so lots of things going on here in Pueblo. And I guess the last thing I will say is that none of this can happen without the community participation and support. So we're so excited to have these opportunities available and looking forward to taking questions if there are any after all of the speakers present.
Thank you so much, Monique. And what's great too is I know this is being recorded, and so we'll be able to really spread the word further. I just am so thankful because having, come from other cultures and other areas of the world where food is most definitely a part of just, the experience. And it's those kind of experiences you never forget. So it's really wonderful now just to see how just over such a short period of time, one, it's just awareness. And I'm so proud that that's really what you've been and then just, you guys have just been incredible with just your grant writing and just really putting, that power to action, which is great. So thank you so much. Are there any questions for Monique before we take a little break with Julie Kim and her 5 stages of movement?
Monique, would you mind sharing your email ID in the chat box? Is Monique here?
Yeah, she said yes. Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Wonderful presentation. Also wondering, so I'll probably email you separately for some of these resources for our own youth brigade, because they are even younger than your youth, because they are, middle schoolers and high schoolers, so really, really young. So this is a great time for them to shape their, thoughts and ideas and directions, and all under the umbrella of health. So this is, first of all, love what, all of the work you have shared. This is exactly what I would dream of, and I dream of, because food is a big part of what I also teach and, share and guide, etc. And you look way too young to have done all this. I'm just surprised. I'm just surprised. But do you have any comments on Monsanto? Like, what do you think is being done at a systemic level of soil erosion? And I mean, Colorado is a very maverick state, and Pueblo might be even more maverick, looks like. But rest of the states, rest of the United States, I don't think they are in good shape in as far as what are we doing to sustain ourselves. So we are not on a good path that way. So any ideas, thoughts about that will be appreciated.
Yeah, so it's a very tricky question because so Monsanto, procured by Bayer, is, for folks who might not be familiar, one of the largest ag tech companies in the world, really focusing on genetics and Roundup ready seeds and creating economies of scale when it comes to food production. And a lot of their systems are set up to basically plant the seed, spray the field, move on with your life. It's an input heavy system that really relies on chemical agriculture rather than developing the soil micro and macro ecology to create healthy, vibrant foods. Part of the problem is that consumers expect a grocery store full of 40,000 products 365 days a year. Well, Mother Earth doesn't work that way. She has cycles. And so consumer behavior plays a lot into the food system that we've developed. I think that I don't believe that the scientists working at a place like Bayer are bad people, right? I think everyone is pursuing their own sort of truth and path and what excites them. But when we value things like cheap food, fast food, massive supply so that we never have to worry about an empty shelf, when those are the things that the system is set up to support, we end up with monocrop farms that depend heavily on chemicals and center aisles of the store that are just full of packaged goods. I mean, by and large, the soy and the corn that's being produced by these main two GM crops are either going to animal production because people want cheap meat, or they're going to those middle of the store aisle food products that are focused on fat, salt, and sugar. So we have to really think about how are we contributing to that system with the choices that we make, and how do we open up the opportunity for folks to engage more readily with whole ingredients, whole foods, foods that are, grown on smaller plots of earth, have a higher nutrient density, as opposed to something that's quick and easy. And that is a very challenging conversation for a lot of folks because they have made it such that those foods are extremely cheap and they're convenient and they psychologically are programmed to taste good. So it's a catch-22. I tend to think that the individual behavior is the most important piece in all of this, because an individual comes together as a community, comes together as influence. And I think we're seeing that change now. So, it goes back and forth. It would be great if there wasn't a legal option that gave folks the ability to patent seeds. That's really traumatic, also the degradation of soils without retribution. That's really traumatic. but we can do things on an individual level that can start to change that. And so that's where I try and focus.
Yeah, I think the education piece is missing. And because food looks, all these foods, convenient foods, look, smell, feel, taste like food, people can't make the difference. So I think education is the huge piece because, if a pizza is looking like a pizza, why would anybody think beyond that? That's the problem. And people don't read the backside of a product. Manufacturers want you to read the front side, and that is what they get. That's it. Nobody turns the backside and reads the 50 ingredients in a simple pizza. So I think there are many areas where things will need to be done to turn things around. You did mention the education about food. I think that is a big piece that maybe we can have another food intense event where we can have you speak a little more elaborately on that, because these are really important conversations, because we are in a way slow poisoning ourselves, and we are slow poisoning our water reservoirs, our soil, which some of it may not be that easily reversible. So we're not setting up ourselves for sustainability. So it's worrisome to people who can see it and who can understand it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. The other thing that I think is exciting is the fact that there is this youth component to both organizations. So I love that component, because for me, if it doesn't begin with education, I don't want to be a senior citizen with leadership, people that really don't understand, a lot of the issues. And that's what's so wonderful, is we're having that educational component and that awareness at such a young age. So you never start too early when you talk about food.
Yeah.
So. Well, thank you so much, Monique. What we're going to do now is take a quick little break. Again, I apologize. There is some voice with this one. And so I did send the link in the chat for Julie Kim. This is her 5 stages of movement.
Julie Kim, and I am here at Fit Instincts. We are a whole healthcare clinic, and I'm a movement instructor here. Today, I wanted to guide you through a short but very effective and very natural warm-up, or it can be done as a whole workout, but we're just going to get a little taste of it today. So I want to show you the shapes of the movements first, because that's really the most important part to start to get a sense of. The first basic movement, they're the 5 stages of movement that we as humans develop into standing and walking with. So they're important to go back to and recondition and revisit all the time. First one is embryonic. The qualities of the movement are circular fish-like fluid, cooking all sides so the whole body has contact. The second is creeping. This is where we move across the floor on our belly, we glide, we have a cross-body patterning reach, and our eyes are awake and active and guiding us. Our whole somatic body is starting to travel to a place now. Third is crawling. And a lot of us can have difficulties with getting down and up off of the floor for various reasons. And so we can do this in different ways. Today I'm going to show you how to do it from the chair. I'm going to do the first 3 from the chair, and then the last 2 standing. So that brings us to the 4th one, which is standing. This is an important practice and a body language. It says a lot when we stand up. It really is a statement, so it's important, and it also activates very important muscles that help us do things functionally with ease. So, and then the 5th one is walking. All right, and we also have this cross-body patterning that I'll go over with you, and it's where we are vertical and we're moving around and reaching out with our arms, and we'll go through it, okay? So let's give it a try. I take that back, no try, just do. Come to your seat. Everybody sense your breath. The first movement that we'll explore is that circular embryonic fluid, fish-like. You can use touch, the eyes are closed, but the movements are very fluid, floating, non-agendified. Second movement is crawling. Let's do crawling from seated, or creeping. Let's do creeping from seated, like I mentioned. Now, one side of the body is going to extend and one side is bent. It's very lizard-like. There is this, again, cross pattern, reach-pull action. All right? And it's very, we would be across the floor. As babies, we would creep across the floor. Our eyes would guide us to something we wanted, and we would make our way across the floor that way. Great one for pelvis, lower back stuff, and psoas. Third one is crawling. Now, not everyone is going to be able to get down on the floor, so we can practice like this. I want to remind you that being off balance, feeling off balance is okay, all right? If you want to get down on the floor, explore that cross-body movement, that push, that on-off balance experience. That's how you can maintain healthy movement all the time in the body, is get okay with being off balance at times, practicing that sensation. Fourth is that standing up. So let's feel the support from back, underneath, behind, roll into the feet, lift up as we press down, engaged in our core, engaged in our seat and our core all around. Fifth, take a walk. As you walk, notice that you're rolling through the heel more to the ball of the foot. You can go forward, backwards, around your chair. Enjoy. So you're up to your feet through the 5 movements. Thanks so much for trying something new with me. And please reach out if you're interested. The 5 stages movements can be done as a full hour-long class, as a series for several weeks, or I can just help you to get moving through a shorter experience like today. Thanks so much, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Section. I'm really excited about this component because after the past year, I think mental health has always been something that has been, shall we just say, underreported or underappreciated. And now, as a result of this shared global kind of experience, this shared reality that we've had over the past year that pretty much has impacted every living human being on the planet, it's going to be a really interesting, difficult, complicated, complex journey moving forward, dealing with a lot of these issues of mental health. So I'm really pleased to introduce Monique Marez. And Mona is from A New Leaf Therapy, a graduate student intern. She is pursuing her master's degree in social work. She received her bachelor's degree in psychology from Colorado State University at Pueblo. Mona has a history of working with developmentally disabled adults and is interested in working to improve quality of care while reducing stigma for individuals with mental illness. Mona is looking forward to working with individuals of various ages who have been exposed to trauma. She is excited to work with clients to improve their quality of life while also learning as much as she can from this experience. She will be with A New Leaf Therapy until her graduation in May of this year, 2021, when she will pursue her official licensure. Mona accepts Medicaid, Aetna, Cigna, and self-pay. A New Leaf Therapy offers a reduced session rate for seeing graduate interns. So without any further ado, Mona, I give you the floor or the Zoom window.
Thank you, Gregory. I'm happy to be here and excited to share the little presentation that I've put together for you today. So I'm going to share my screen so I can share my slideshow here with you. So I want to talk a little bit about the importance of mental health and how it relates to your overall health. As Gregory said, I'm a graduate intern therapist with A New Leaf Therapy. I am originally from Colorado. I've kind of traveled throughout the United States I did get to visit Japan. I was in the military for a while, so I visited Japan, and that's been great. And then I found my way back home here, so I'm happy to be involved in helping our community as far as mental health goes. So why it's important to talk about mental health and its approach to wellness and health as a whole is that mental health is important because if it's left untreated, it can impact your physical health. Untreated mental health issues like anxiety, unmanaged stress, depression, substance use, exposure to trauma, all of these things can impact your sleep, your ability to concentrate, your appetite, and your overall feelings of well-being. If these issues are left untreated, of course, then it can impact, things like blood pressure, your weight, cardiovascular health, and can even manifest into pain. So we had gotten away from viewing mental health and medical health as one, even though it's all one person. They're still kind of viewed as two separate issues. And until recently, like right now, there's a push to for integrated health care, which is kind of like what our PCHC, our Pueblo Community Health Center, is trying to do, where it's all encompassing, kind of one-stop shop. You can see your medical provider, as well as they're looking into like acupuncture and chiropractic care and things like that to kind of and therapy as well to help clients' overall health. So it's important to note too that mental health issues can present differently from client to client. For example, kids, like they can't always verbalize, that they're feeling anxious or they're feeling depressed. They don't really typically have the skills or the ability to verbalize that. So it can come out as, I have a tummy ache, or, something hurts. And as I mentioned, trauma responses can sometimes present in individuals as chronic pain. So people that go to their doctor with chronic pain can, be a sign of if that they've had some kind of trauma exposure. So I thought this was kind of interesting, and I wanted to include Kaiser conducted a study between 1995 and 1997 on their insurance carriers, and they surveyed 17,000 people that they surveyed, and they looked at adverse childhood experiences and how those experiences impacted their overall health. So the survey was asking about exposure to psychological, physical, sexual abuse, if their parents had separated or divorced, if they had their mother figure that was treated violently, something that they witnessed, if they lived with somebody with mental health problems or somebody that was suicidal. They looked at emotional and physical neglect, if they had a household member go to prison, or if they lived with a problem drinker. The results of the study were interesting. So they had 1 out of 3 people reported 0 adverse childhood experiences, 2 out of 3 reported 1, 1 out of 4 reported 2 or more, 1 out of 5 reported 3 or more, and 1 out of 6 reported 4 or more. So that translates into the more adverse childhood experiences, the more likely these individuals were to experience, things like depression, illicit drug use, suicide attempts, smoking, unhealthy behaviors, basically. So, and then of course, let me go back, I'm sorry, so you could look at that list. And then these things, of course, can all trickle into your overall health, things that lead to other underlying health issues and chronic health issues. So the question was asked to us, can a person thrive without the help of a mental health practitioner? And the short answer is yes, individuals can thrive, but it's important for them to thrive. They have to be able to routinely and regularly practice healthy coping skills. They have to be able to regularly manage stress and anxiety. And then I always like to tell my clients, when they come to see me, even if things are going well, it's nice to keep coming to therapy. Or even if you don't think you need therapy, like sometimes it's good to just have an objective, non-judgmental, professional person to talk to, even if you're sharing, good stress. So recently, I guess previously, therapy used to be viewed as something that was just used for people that had mental health issues. And like Gregory was saying, like hopefully, that'll change a little bit. And we have seen a change because people now that are seeking therapy,
we found that it's been more normalized and less stigmatized, because a lot of the people that we see at A New Leaf Therapy, since we specialize in helping helpers, we see, super successful people, highly functioning individuals, and they're wanting to learn ways to cope, with things, learn how to reduce stress, manage their anxiety, and regain some balance to their lives. So no longer is therapy viewed as, oh, that's just something for, people with serious mental health issues. So how has stress impacted the mental health industry? For the past year, everyone has been in this, collective having to find a new normal, discover ways to cope with the drastic changes that have impacted us. And no one was prepared for it. We kind of started quarantining thinking, oh, it's going to last a couple of weeks. And then here we are a year later, and we're still kind of trying to figure out that balance. There have been a lot of changes in politics, the economy, the pandemic. Those three things kind of created this perfect storm that have led to an increase in mental health issues. So prior to the pandemic, the way that we've seen the increase for the need for mental health is, prior to the pandemic, we would turn away 60 to 70 individuals per week because we didn't have enough providers to serve everyone that was seeking therapy. That number has increased to 150 individuals a week. So it's, almost, doubled really, the people that we have to turn away. But not to, I do want to share that we do have openings currently. So that changes quite a bit. Just so you know, we're not just turning away, a lot of people that come in. We see them as we can, but we have seen the increase in numbers seeking help. So added stressors from the past year, I kind of broke this up into two things, like one way how it affects our clients and the other way how it affects the clinicians. So we've seen an increase in couples therapy. There's been increased isolation, which has turned into anxiety and depression. There's been an increase in exposure to trauma. People have experienced high levels of deaths recently within the last year. And for the people that we serve, since I said we specialize in helping helpers, we help a lot of people that are employed through the medical field. And, they used to see deaths, periodically, but it's been a daily occurrence for them. So that's been something hard that's been difficult for them to cope with. We've had a lot of our clients experience a lot of grief and loss. That's increased a lot with the pandemic. And then there's also anxiety that we're noticing people are having about going out into public or like reintegrating socially, because we've been kind of stuck in this virtual world and people haven't really let other people in socially, physically. So that's been difficult. So for our clinicians, it's interesting because we have been experiencing the same stressors as our clients, but then we're also helping them find ways to cope with those things. So it's added stress, a little extra stress for the clinicians. So practicing self-care has become extremely important and a priority like it never has before, to prevent us from experiencing burnout. It's just really something that's really been a huge push this last year. So some safe techniques for stress-related trauma that people can practice. You can find healthy means of support through friends, family, church groups, even if that's something they're interested in. Exercise is really important, to keep moving. That's great. Practicing mindfulness. I know this was mentioned early on in this talk about focusing on the present. That's something I think a lot of people tend to kind of overlook, and they don't really do that as often as we probably should. YouTube is another great source, I think, to look up coping techniques like deep breathing, guided imagery, and progressive muscle relaxation. There are a lot of videos out there that'll just walk you through those coping skills, so you don't have to even think about how to do it or read how to do it. It just kind of guides you through. I really like to tell my clients about an app. It's called Cbti Coach, and it has those same three coping techniques: the deep breathing, guided imagery, and progressive muscle relaxation. And it's all in one place. All you have to do, it's a free app to download, and all you have to do is go through the app and pick it, and it pick those skills, and it walks you through it. There's also other apps like the Calm app, the Headspace app. Those things we've seen a lot of an increase in people using, and they're all good good resources to have. Distracting and processing is another technique that people can do, but it kind of requires a little bit of self kind of regulation. So it's nice to distract, from your problems for a little while, but it's also healthy to process them sometimes. So if you can find a good balance without, distracting too much or processing too much, because then, it could lead to other things like anxiety and more stress. So finding that balance is good. So it's important to note too that these are only coping skills, and they're not going to fix, serious or complicated issues like depression or trauma experiences. So that is why it's really important that people seek therapy if they are struggling with some of those issues, so we can kind of help them through some of that stuff. A New Leaf also offers biofeedback. We use heart math to give people a visual of like what stress and anxiety looks like physiologically on their body. So that's kind of a fun thing that we do. We also offer EMDR, BST, which is brain synchronization therapy, very similar to EMDR, and CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, as modalities that we like to help people sort through their anxiety, depression, trauma, those kinds of things. So as I mentioned before, we specialize in helping helpers. So we see a lot of first responders, physicians, nurses, teachers, other therapists, essentially, anybody who is in a helping profession. We help individuals with, depression, anxiety, PTSD, OCD, relationship issues, like I said, couples therapy, adjustment issues, addiction issues, anything you can kind of think of that somebody would seek therapy for. We also have a grief group that meets on Sunday afternoons. That's something that we just started up a few months ago, and it's going really well. We've seen, the need for it. So it was something we started up, and it's thriving now. So.
And Mona, I'll just give you a 2-minute warning.
Okay, thank you. We also work with individuals of all ages, couples, families, groups. We have a lot of therapists it's kind of split. We have half interns, half, licensed therapists. And so we have a wide variety of things people that we support and help. We also offer equine assisted therapy. That group will start up hopefully late spring or early summer. We've just expanded recently to another building, the building next door. So we're right now at 327 and 329 Colorado Avenue here in Pueblo. And in our new building, we have an area that's like a training room. And so we'll do some training for therapists, mainly trauma therapy, anxiety training, which is exposure and response prevention training, workshops for coping skills. And then we're hoping to offer couples retreats in the summer once things kind of start opening back up. So good indications of when someone should seek mental health professional. Individuals, I think they should seek help if they're experiencing any interference with relationships, their job, school. If somebody, that cares about you is telling you, hey, I think, you might need some help, that's a good indication that you should probably seek help. If you're struggling with accomplishing goals, if you have unresolved trauma, if you're experiencing health problems, like we talked about the ACE study earlier. So therapy is kind of like having a personal trainer. Like you can, run and train on your own, great, but sometimes you just need that extra help and support to guide you through things, and that's where, therapists come in. And lastly, like you don't have to wait until, things are super bad or you're in dire need to come to therapy. It's okay to come to therapy even when things are going well. And then this is our contact information. Reagan likes to say, therapy can be life-changing, and I've seen it firsthand. So just something to keep in mind. So if anybody has any questions, I'm open.
I had one question. When was it established, this particular New Leaf therapy?
So New Leaf therapy was established in 2015. So it's still a fairly new business, but with the expansion, she's like, it seems like unstoppable now, because we're offering things now that we hadn't been able to do before, just within the last year. And to expand during a pandemic has been wonderful,
Well, congratulations on finishing up your work this May. So,
Yeah,
Thank
congratulations
you.
in
Yeah, and
advance.
thank you. Yeah, and just a side note too, I am going to go work for Reagan after I complete my degree, so I'll be with a new leaf indefinitely. So,
Oh, nice. So,
Mona, I have a
yeah.
question.
yeah, go ahead.
So I do know that obviously there we do so many things now through virtual portals, and mental health therapists have a very secure portal that they can see clients with. Are you able to take clients that are outside of Pueblo in Colorado? Like, can you take a client from anywhere, or are you restricted to just a certain area?
It depends on their insurance, basically. Like because we do see Medicaid clients and they have to be covered like within that region. We can take clients if they are in Colorado. We have kind of focused on like this area, locally. And I think part of that was because we were seeing a lot of people in person, but you're right, now that we've done virtual, because we had to shift to providing telehealth services, for all of our clients during the pandemic when it first really hit. And it really didn't impact a whole lot. I was surprised to see. So yeah, our main, clientele that we serve come from the Pueblo area. But yeah, based on their insurance, and if they live in the local area, of course, it's easier to get them access to care.
Yeah. So if they're a self-pay client, no restrictions.
If they're self-pay clients, no. If they're self-pay clients, we can see them if they live in a different area. The only thing that we really like to, I guess the main push for us helping locally is because we have crisis intervention resources that we use that are here locally, like what is it? Man, my mind just went blank. Health solutions, because we can refer people, if they're in need of crisis, to do that. Of course, if we're helping somebody that lives in, on the Front Range, or they live in Durango or something like that, we can tell them we'll call 911, but it's easier for us to use our resources here.
Thank you.
I think we would love to have Ramona on our directory, right?
Yes.
Yeah, do check it out because, there has been a parallel mental health epidemic, pandemic, we can say. So, and you are experiencing growth, and that's fantastic. But there is, so much to catch up. There's always a gap between what is needed and what is out there. So,
Exactly.
I mean, Rachel is there if you have any trouble, but do consider joining, because that's the whole goal of the nonprofit is to. Sorry, I'll have to take this call, but thank you so much.
Thank
Wonderful
you.
presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, back to you, Gregory, unless we have any other questions.
We're going to take another break now for 5 minutes. Please enjoy the second performance by Travis Cleveland, featuring his singing bowls and chimes. Enjoy the piece, and we'll be back in 5 minutes. Well, I hope you enjoyed those sounds by Travis Cleveland. I think what will be fun is we actually edited these individually and they have their own unique YouTube links. So in the future, if you just feel the need that you need to have a little bit of body movement by Julie Kim, or with Travis, his gongs and his bells, you can have them and you can create your own playlist for relaxation. So those are nice. They'll be fun tools for us to use in the future. And we just did that this morning. I apologize that the quality, and there is an issue with the sound and the lags. So I'm glad we were able to provide the links though. So feel free to use those in the future. So next, I'm really excited. We're going to be moving on to whole health. And we have our own Rachel Cutsco of Fit Instincts. She's the owner and the wellness coordinator. Rachel and I were fortunate years ago to be on a Chakra panel at the Pueblo City County Library. And I think both of us afterwards said, we just need to know that person. So I'm glad that we've been able to carry this friendship to this level, and now just making just wellness in general something that is front and center, and really critical for all ages. So Rachel, moving the body in a functional way while increasing strength, range of motion, and flexibility is the key to balance within the muscular self. These aspects of the body have become the focus with Rachel, and her attention to details of each movement, each breath, and every intention is how she has crafted her specialty. With over 20 years of experience in the health and wellness industry, Rachel wanted to encompass a deeper understanding of how the kinetic chain is affected by repetitive movements, prior injuries, emotional and psychological health, nutritional health, and the overall wellness of the whole body. Because of this, she pursued certifications and teachings of corrective exercise, aromatherapy, nutritional support and supplementation, various movement therapies, and more. It is through these technologies and teachings she created Fit Instincts, a premier holistic healthcare clinic designed to treat and teach through proper movement, recovery sessions, and whole food nutrition. So without any further ado, I give the Zoom window to Rachel.
Thank you, Gregory, and thank you for the kind introduction. So I want to talk to you about a couple of different things when we think about whole healthcare. We have healthcare that is segmented and divided into different types of care. And what we think of mostly when we think of healthcare care is what our insurance provider provides, and what plan we sign up with work, or if we've retired, or other different areas and venues of how we can have healthcare in our country. And this has been a heated topic and big topic in many, many years, but really the last 15 years of how we are addressing and viewing healthcare, healthcare plans, healthcare insurance companies, and across the board. So we are here to educate and teach and try and change that viewpoint and revolutionize healthcare. And if you look behind me, let me see if I can move out of the way enough. This is one of our banners right here, that we are absolutely revolutionizing healthcare at Fit Instincts, but not only at Fit Instincts, but with Wholistic Health Alliance and all of these other practices that we do. And Gregory, at actually one of the events that you hosted at Water Tower Place, and I met up with a couple of people afterwards, and I had said this, and they said, "Oh my gosh, you have to write that down." And it said, "Healthcare will change when it becomes profitable to be preventable." And isn't that the truth, right? So if we can showcase that you can make money if we can be preventable. Not only will our community be in better health, but everything that spawns from when our whole selves are feeling health and wealth and prosperity and abundance, that just trickles over into everything else. So to think about what whole healthcare looks like for an individual, I'm going to take you through a little journey, okay? So most of us here in the United States own vehicles. And if we don't, we know somebody who owns a vehicle. And if we don't know somebody, we see automobiles out on the road, and we understand that there are different responsibilities to have that vehicle. And there are things that a vehicle does that are just kind of part of our daily routine, our daily tasks. Going to a job, going to and from picking kids up from school, going to and from appointments, grocery stores, things like that, that are just our basic daily tasks. We use a car most often to do that. Bigger cities do other forms of transportation as well, but a lot of places we rely on that car. But then that vehicle can also transport us to adventures and to places that we want to go to, whether it's locally or in another state. It takes us to family members' houses, grandma's house for, Christmas dinner. And this is where we experience quality of life. This is where we make memories. This is where we enjoy life. We enjoy it with our kids, with our family, in nature, viewing a movie, going to shows. So these vehicles transport us to all these things that when we think about what makes it wonderful and abundant to live and be happy, we have these things that we go and do and we experience. And an automobile, a vehicle, will take us to these things. So let's think about what that vehicle costs to maintain. And so we know that we have car insurance, right? And that varies across the board. And a car insurance policy is for those catastrophic events, those life events that have happened where we didn't see somebody else coming, or something else and came at us, or where we were distracted for a moment. Those are things that are called accidents. And we have this catastrophic insurance that we pay for, and that you should be paying for, in order to legally have this vehicle, this mode of transportation to pull in this quality of life. And so that in and itself is its own cost. So now let's look at what it just costs for all of the things that car insurance doesn't take care of. So we have to put gas in the car, right? And you can use different types of gasoline. There's premium gasolines. There's your unleaded basic gasolines. But regardless, you have to put gasoline in your car, unless you have a fully electric car, of course. Then we have to charge it. So either way, you have to have that run. And so that comes with a cost. Oil changes, right? We have to have oil changes in our car every 3 months approximately, or so many mileage, depending on the cars. And there are different types of oil that we get to put in the car. But without oil, we know that the car engine will not run. It will seize up, and your car's life expectancy has dropped very quickly. Then we also have things that are just regular run-of-the-mill, where we have to change the windshield wipers, or a brake light goes out, or that little light over the license plate that they really want you to have, or anything like that. And so those are usually small fixes. And then, of course, we have to have registration. Car insurance doesn't pay for registration either. In order to be legal on the road, you have to have a legal updated license plate tab. And all of these things are not covered by our car insurance. Every once in a while, oil changes get thrown in there if you buy a new car and you go to the dealership, but that's not for the life of the car normally. So these are things that we just take on. We purchase this vehicle because this vehicle is going to be our tool to do all of these things, whether they're just those daily tasks, or it is for these life experiences. I'm going to do a road trip, or I'm going to drive 2 states over so that I can surprise my family at Christmas, or I'm going to just go down the road to go visit mom and dad because they're feeling lonely and their health is starting to deteriorate because they're in older age. These things that will create these memories and this quality of life for us. And if we think about that, you know, if our car breaks down, we fix it. Because we have to do these daily tasks, and we somehow muster up the money most of the time to be able to figure out, how do we fix this car? How do we make it mobile again? How do we get it so that we can use it for these adventures, for these memories, for these daily tasks? And on average, and this is a nationwide average because this changes from state to state, it is roughly $3,500 a year to maintain a car outside of what car insurance will cover. Everything I just talked about: gasoline, registration, oil changes, little things like windshield wipers and those light bulbs, just all those little things that you have to do to keep a vehicle on the road and maintained properly. $3,500 a year. That's $291 a month. Okay. We don't always pay that every month, of course, because registration is once a year and stuff. But when we total it all together, that's approximately what we pay, just under $300 a month for this vehicle. If you were to ask Americans how much they would be willing to spend on healthcare costs that are not covered by insurance to support and maintain the whole health and quality of life of their personal vehicle, as in their body, it might be $0. And that is a shame, because we will put $300 a month, not even blink an eye, into an automobile because we need it. But we will not put $300 a month into our own health care, our own health and wellness, our whole health, because we don't feel like we need it. And I saw this thing the other day, and it really hit home, and I had to let it resonate with me. And a friend had put, I want you to think right now, kind of create a mental list of all of the things that you love, you just love. And I want you to take that, just 30 seconds right now. Just think about things that you love. It could be anything, right? Family, friends, the plant I have on my desk, good food, coffee, sitting by water, going on vacation. How long would it take you to go through your list and put yourself on that? Who put you on that list? Me. When I went through that mentally, did I write me on that list? No. And if we do, maybe it's pages long before we think, oh yeah, I should love myself, right? Whole health care is taking care of the body in a way that sometimes our modern medical practices are not supplied to do. They are there for our catastrophic, a lot of times, our catastrophic, where we have that insurance, just like that car, those major accidents, something major has happened. We can go in there and we have got incredible healthcare that can patch it. They can sew arms back on, and we can have regeneration of nerves, and we have all these different things that we can do that is just incredible. But a lot of the things that our modern science can do now still takes away from the thousands and thousands and thousands of years old practices that we have been doing for our own selves, generation after generation after generation. And we now know, because of science and because of tests, but I think people 3,000 years ago also knew about this, that the stresses that we have in life now, not even just in this last year of the pandemic, but just stresses in general, things that irk us, like in traffic and work and just things like that, how they can have an effect on our physical body. Of course, Mona talked about how that happens on our emotional and psychological body. And we now see an unprecedented amount of inflammatory type diseases and autoimmune diseases. We know that there is a direct link between stress and the lymphatic system or our immune system.
And Rachel,
when
that's 2 minutes for you too. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, and when we have a system that is really inflamed, it is really hard to heal. Our body knows how to heal. Its instinct is to heal every single cell. The lymph system rebuilds every single cell all the time. Cancer cells, all that stuff gets filtered through, and the body is incredible. But if we have inflamed it so much and we are preventing it from doing its job, it cannot do that as well. Okay, so it is up to us, and we can seek support from other healthcare practitioners that are part of the Wholistic Health Alliance or that whole health mentality. So I want to give you just a couple of techniques you can do at home for you, just your overall whole health. Mona already talked about an app she recommends. Gregory talked about that we were going to have these YouTube videos ready to go for that meditation stuff. You can also get one of these physio balls, which are anywhere from $10 to $20. I'm sitting on it now, and you can bounce. You can put it in a corner so that you don't go rolling all over the place. This stimulates the lymphatic system. Boom. Immunity right there. We're just stimulating the lymphatic system. Anybody ever rock a baby or bounce a baby? Why do we do that? We're hugging them. It calms their central nervous system. It boosts their lymphatic system. Everybody feels better when you bounce up and down. We tell kids in school not to bounce their leg up and down, to sit still. This is healthy. This is movement. This is good. Gregory's sitting on a ball too, it looks like. But it's so safe. It's so easy to do. And it's something you can do every day and have fun with. And I just, we should be cleansing our body. We should be using food like what Monique talked about. Good, pure food. We need to just move the body. Put on your favorite songs. Do 10 minutes. Throw on some really fun, creative songs and just do whatever feels right. It doesn't have to be a regimented exercise program. Okay. You just have to move. And so just to finish up, I just want to say that, Fit Instincts, we're here. We provide a lot of services. And I started as a personal trainer years and years ago of like kind of exactly what you think of when you think of personal trainers. And now we've developed into a whole healthcare clinic. We mostly work with people on, we do corrective movement and exercise prescription, but we also work mostly with nutritional advancement, whole food supplementation, how to get those good foods into your body. And then active recovery methods. If we are stressed beyond belief, we are not going to be able to heal. The body is not equipped to heal in times of stress. So we have to decrease that stress. And we have several modalities with Thai massage and fascia release programs, aromatherapy. But the big thing too is that in our initial consultations, we refer so many people out to all of these other health practitioners that we have in town, or even people that now are available via Zoom or other types of virtual healthcare. And we get those practices out to people. So for less than $300 a month, or right around $300 a month, you could visit a healthcare practitioner that is not covered by insurance once a week on average. Okay, so keep that in mind. That $300 that you use to maintain your car every month, you could get anywhere from 2 to 6 healthcare practitioner visits that isn't included in your healthcare if you just wanted to put that much money, time, and effort into your own personal vehicle. So I want you to, that's the biggest takeaway is your whole health. What does your quality of life mean to you? And if you can do something as easy as taking care of an automobile, you could do something just as easy as taking care of your own self. So I'll put up links and things like that. Fitinstincts.com, just check us out. And again, we can do virtual initial consultations. We can do a lot of things virtually. and then we can also help refer out, and we, any other health components that you need. So thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. So we do have one more very short video, which is chakra fork tuning.
Happy Saturday, everyone. This is Stephanie from Level Up Ascension Studio. And I'm just going to play some sounds from the tuning forks. And each tuning fork resonates with the frequency of each chakra. And it's a really relaxing chakra clearing experience. So you may feel free to close your eyes and meditate to these tones and visualize each chakra clearing. And I'm going to go ahead and start at the root chakra. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it. It's just a really short sample of what you can experience with fork tuning therapy that we do offer at Level Up Ascension Studio. where you can get a full chakra fork tuning session, and it's a really relaxing, meditative, peaceful process. Sometimes you can feel the energy being pulled and cleared out, so it's a really neat feeling. Thank you. Everybody have a beautiful day.
We have just a minute left due to our regular schedule, but if there are any questions, I think this would be the perfect time to ask them. If not, I know everyone is available via email or via a future Zoom chat or whatever platform you prefer. But this has been really exciting, and I just love the notion of the journey. And this, as was said, Rachel, clearly this was one of our layovers. So today we'll get ready to take our next leg. So if there's any questions, I open the floor. And if not, we have plenty of time to revisit and to reconnect, which is really exciting.
Yes.
Well, go ahead.
No, I just want, no question, just wanted to comment that I think this was a good virtual get together and kind of revisiting some of the community philosophies around health. And, some of the ideas, again, even if we as holistic practitioners are thinking about, it's there in us, but sometimes it's helpful to revisit it again, to reinforce it. And I enjoyed all those short videos, and Rachel would love to see all of these lovely practitioners on our directory, because COVID has done really bad things, but it has also shrunk the world in many ways. There are really no geographical limitations in many ways. People can really have one-on-one sessions with someone from another state, very far away. Even countries are not boundaries right now. So that way, we have come together more in some ways. So if any of these practitioners would like to list, and we can have their videos up as our resources, etc. And the app is coming, and they can upload on the app as well.
Right.
So
right. Well, let's give a thank you first to Monique Marez. Great thank you for producing the presentation on the Pueblo Food Project. And then Mona Monsibias for your wonderful, I learned a lot about, I've seen New Leaf Therapy, but I didn't know exactly what you did. So now I do, and that's great. And then of course, Rachel Cutsco with Fit Instincts for your presentation on whole health. Which I think is really critical and important at this time. So I think we're at 12:02. We're right on time. So I wish everyone a wonderful day, a fabulous weekend, and a very prosperous future. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, and may the journey continue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look for our next event. We'll continue these Better Together journeys. Okay. So look, about every 6 to 8 weeks, we'll keep doing these, and pretty soon we'll be able to have in-person dinners again. Yay.
Thank you so much.
All right. Enjoy the sunshine and stay safe.
Thank you. On behalf of the Wholistic Health Alliance, Colorado chapter, thank you for joining us on this journey where we are better together. We look forward to seeing you again in the future.